Hello, good evening, folks. This is Bhai Baldeep Singh signing in from New Delhi, India. I've been a Formula One, fan, if you want to call it, or a follower. As an ex-aviator, it's obvious that I would be drawn towards machines, engines, aerodynamics, and so on and so forth, as someone who's designed planes during his college days. But many years ago, I sort of got a little disenchanted because it's a sport, but not a sport. Sport is in which you have the same equipment, isn't it? There's a standard. For example, when you play baseball, there's a regulation within certain kinds of bats you can have. Cricket, for example, football is the same ball that you play with. But here, of course, there are advantages and disadvantages. If you are giving a free rein or free run for technical or technological innovations, like used to be at one, I mean, once upon a time, I'm reminded of when Ferrari was winning. There were spies all over. Be it McLaren and all the companies or the teams who were sort of freaking out. How is it that we are not able to catch a Ferrari? They even found out the spy gates and so on and so forth of the kind of gas which was being used by Ferrari for its tires. The fuel formulas were different and so on and so forth. So that I thought was much more exciting, which gave people to innovate and see what tricks they could have. But then they regulated it to prevent whatever they were trying to prevent. Uh, then Ferrari's reign began with Michael Schumacher when he won, I think, five or straight or world championships, or maybe with a little gap. It's been many years, as I said that. This year, of course, it caught my eye towards the later, and you will understand why. What was the rest of the world doing? I mean, anti-Ferrari camps or the opponents or the English press, what were they doing? They said, "Oh, this is too much. This is not good for sport. This is not nice. Formula One, it's too much. If there's one team that is dominating, Schumacher all over the place, Ferrari all over the place, there should be competition. One person, Michael Schumacher, winning it all. First year, second year, the third year, the fifth title. Oh, it's gotten too boring. We're going to be losing, the fan base, the television audience, the attendance would wane. There will be less spectators, but it is all okay when a Mercedes is winning. This guy Hamilton has already won 7 titles. He came close, or he almost won the eighth by crook, fortunately, and that's my thesis again, in the sense that not that I'm the only one with the thesis. But nobody has ever cried foul that, oh, that's too much, because of Hamilton winning it all and Mercedes having some propriety over the engine regulation and so on and so forth, that other teams were disadvantaged. Nobody has cried foul about, it's boring, or it's one person winning so many titles, it's not good for the sport, audience will wane, etc., etc. Now, that is hypocrisy, as I say, and has been my problem with the kind of the way the sport, if I may call it with quotes, sport, or the circus, as many call it, has been handled. Now, the hypocrisy to do with Hamilton's so-called loss. He did not lose. He just lost. How can you forget him calling that you have to be smarter? Like 2 days before, he was, when in the, I think in the last um, uh, I think it was a Saudi Arabian thing when something happened that Verstappen was not able to win, and Hamilton's arrogance. People are calling, "Oh, how humble he is." What humility are you talking about? When he loses, he's sour graping by calling it it's manipulated. I mean, can he tell how much has been manipulated in his favor in the past years? If you want to talk about manipulation, sure, let's talk about manipulation. And you're silent afterwards, you're heartbroken afterwards, and you're quote unquote, your fake graciousness afterwards is not impressive, or it does not impress everybody. The fact that the word manipulated comes, that is a problem for me. And it just reminded me of things that happened in the past. And let me, if you were to look at, go on Wikipedia, just simple Wikipedia, and click on the Formula One crash controversies. What was it all about? You remember Nelson Piquet Jr., who was contracted by the company of Flavio Briatore, the Italian, former, restaurateur, and whatever he did, properties, etc. And he had a Formula One team. He actually managed many drivers. So what was happening? There was in order to help Fernando Alonso, the then Renault teammate, Nelson Piquet Jr., who was contracted, who was managed by Flavio Briatore's company as a player, as a driver, as a Formula. He was there. That company's his Formula One driver. That means he could get contracts or get placements in that. And then Flavio Briatore is also owning. He's the team principal of Renault. So that is how it worked. So Nelson Piquet Jr. was told, I don't want to go into details, to crash the car, to give an undue advantage to Fernando Alonso's car. And who was the other person? Who was the one affected? Here on Wikipedia, you can see the image of Nelson Piquet Jr. in 2007. And Felipe Massa's Ferrari was the one against whom this entire thing was being done. So now when a Formula One car crashes about 6 or 7 laps or 5 laps before the end of the race, it would, it rang a bell. Now this is one of the most beautiful moments of the day when Jos Verstappen is hugging, his son, Max. And what a story, the way the father has dedicated his entire childhood, Max's childhood, taking him down across, driving him to Italy and many other places for competitions. And to see this, I thought this was a very beautiful moment. I'll cue it up for you. And of course, here, talking of BBC's report, talking of the fact that Max Verstappen wins the title after last lap overtake of Lewis. Mercedes protests rejected. And Andrew Benson's he's been a good writer, almost fair at times, objective, yes, he's a good writer, but little biased one at that. And they would talk about their perspective, the English perspective. Anyway, now the point I wanted to make is that when you look at a crash, so Michael Macy, whatever you want to talk to him, if a car crashes 6 or 7 laps, under let's say under 10 laps or under 8 laps, which can affect the outcome, and a safety car is called in, it rang bells, it sent alarm bells. It becomes a controversial, what Michael Macy has done is he has, by allowing that one lap race, he has saved the FIA from any kind of accusation or doubt that it was manipulated by Mercedes. So that, now let's go back in the race a bit. When the first virtual safety car had come on, had been brought, I mean, when it was sort of, in place, Max Verstappen had pitted and gotten newer tires. Hamilton, the fact that he would have lost the race lead did not come in at the time, at the second, especially when the second safety car came. Verstappen had already changed the tires twice. The first time, those who have watched the race would remember, after the first change of tires, which was about 14, 15 laps, the first safety car time, the virtual safety car came, Max had pitted and gotten a fresher change. And then, few laps before the end of the race, there's a crash. Verstappen pitted again, got new tires. Hamilton did not pit yet again. Why? Because the Mercedes team was afraid that they will lose the lead, the first position, number one position, and that Hamilton would have had to do something to overtake. Then it was Verstappen's race to lose rather than Hamilton's to win. And what were they wanting? They wanted the race to end under the safety car. So what Michael Macy has done, and this is not being spoken, that a controversy has been averted, doubts would have been raised whether that crash which happened was actually manipulated. And the way the kind of Mikey and this and that, which Toto Wolff and others are calling manipulated, it rang bells. And I thought with all the discussion and debate going on over Max Verstappen's victory, some sheen is being taken off, or being, glorification of Hamilton has been done. I thought it's important to also bring on the table another perspective. Hamilton, it's ironic. Now people are there. He's obviously, you're a 7 times world champion. His congratulations are due, compliments to him, etc., etc. But his start, he was very brash, and I thought it was irony and it was justice in a way that someone like Max Verstappen, a tough kid on the block, came along and has cut him to size. Drivers, there's nothing called best drivers. It is all about a package. The fact that Mercedes has a better car, better engine, is the reason why they are able to play with aerodynamics, with downforce, the way other cars have had to play catch up. It has taken many years for any other, like this time Red Bull came close to, in fact, Verstappen has won more races in the year. So it is not something like Hamilton is the greatest driver in the world or in history. That's nonsense. That's not how you evaluate, because it's you can have great drivers. Fernando Alonso was always noted as the best technically techno-abled driver. His understanding how he could extract maximum from even a bad car or a poor car or a lesser car. He still remains among the best drivers in history, in spite of the fact that he's not been able to win, because the car package, Ferrari was not able to deliver because of the changed regulations. At times, regulations are changed just to handicap Ferrari's run or free run in the top. Nowadays, Mercedes has been given a clean, air at the head of the table, at the head of the track, to win as much as they could, and others were playing catch up. So it is nothing like that Hamilton is the greatest driver. It's just ironic. It is just chance. He was in the right spot at the right time. He was aggressive enough, and he had the sponsors to back him up. And that's how you get into teams and so on and so forth at that level. Everybody is a good driver. Anybody who manages to get an F1 license is deemed fit to drive on the track. And then it is luck and the car placements. Very few seats. Whoever gets the sport wins it. Anyway, I think we must all congratulate Max Verstappen, and Hamilton should have better grace. He should have he should have sort of harnessed better grace than he has shown. He needs to apologize for the manipulated remark. Goodbye, signing off. And maybe next year it might be very interesting for. I might return to watching more of Formula One, given the fact that the young fellow Max Verstappen. That's a story made in a rare pot. I might look back some of the races this year as well. Goodbye, guys.